Okay, so chapter 2 is going to start looking at graphing and linear equations. So they're going to just be going over some skills that you need to make sure you're successful for that. So if you look at this top section, if you want to grab a sheet of graph paper for it, if not, I'm totally fine you don't even have to redraw it, actually. You just have to list the points. So let's take a look at number 1. It says, write the ordered pair for each point, then name the quadrant in which it's located. Let me remind you of the quadrant locations, okay? So if you want to write down and make like a little XY grid, go ahead and do that. If we start in the positive area, that is quadrant 1. It technically starts here where it's positive, and goes counterclockwise. So that's quadrant 1. Here is quadrant 2. Everything over there, the x's are negative, but the y's are positive. And then if we keep going counterclockwise, this is quadrant 3. And they usually use Roman numerals, so just 3 slashes with the little bar above it. And that everything there would be negative. And then this is quadrant 4. And everything there, the x's are positive, but the y's are negative. So you do have to know where the quadrants are. If you take pre-calc next year, or algebra 3, knowing where those quadrants are important. You might take a look at where functions or graphs are located in different quadrants and things like that. So for number 1, where it says A, if you count from center that jumps over 1, 2, 3, 4, and then up 1, that would be the point 4, 1. And anytime you land in that top right quadrant, you are in quadrant 1. Now, a few of the points, B and C, line up on a particular axis. C has a special name for it. You guys know what's the point for C and what's it called? What's the point for C where it's located? That's the origin. That's the point 0, 0. So B, it doesn't really land in a quadrant. Sometimes they call that quadrantal because it's landing on the quadrants. But if you just say it's on the x-axis or the y-axis, that's all I really need. Okay? Okay. Now, for 6, let's go ahead and help set 6 up for you. It says, Alicia earns $6 per hour babysitting and make a table in which the x-coordinate represents the number of hours. So let's put x in hours. And then the y-coordinate represents the amount of money. Okay. So what you can do here is if she babysits no hours, it would be 6 times nothing, or 0. If she does 1 hour, it would be 6 times 1, or 6. Go ahead and fill that chart out for me up to if she babysits for 5 hours, okay? So any questions on those first 6 problems? Any questions on the first 6? We good with those? Okay, let's jump to 7 through 10. 7 through 10, we have been practicing these since the first week of school. We're just taking those values, substituting in using order of operations. So that shouldn't be anything too excited. Let's go to 11. 11 is under there because it is actually doing the same thing. M is minutes. Find the monthly charge for 80 minutes. All we're going to do is replace that M with 80 and calculate it. Please write it like money, monthly charge. So 80 minutes, and so you would write it like with a dollar symbol and go out to the nearest penny. Okay. And then this is a skill that some of you were struggling with before, and hopefully when I go to look at your tests, that's a skill you've improved. But let's take a look at number 12. Let's do that one together. It says you want to solve the equation 4x plus 2y equals 12 for y. So all you want to do is you want to treat that y as if it's your only variable and just get the other stuff to the other side. Get it alone. Now to isolate it, the first step I would take is to subtract 4x's from both sides. So you get 2y equals 12 minus 4x. You could also have written minus 4x plus 12. Perfectly acceptable. Do your own thing. It doesn't matter. And then we have to divide by 2. Now, you can divide each one of those pieces by 2. That's going to work as long as you do it to every term. So you would get 6 minus 2x. So you'll notice the y equals. So that's what you want to shoot for when you do a problem like this. So when you see like 13, get it till it says b equals 14, v equals 15, x equals 16, d equals. That's what they mean. They say isolate that variable or solve for that given variable. That's how you want it to look, okay? Do we have any questions about 12 through 16? Okay, then we got some down here at the bottom. Problem 1 through 4 is, again, the substitution. Here is just practicing using the distributive property without parentheses. So for 5 here, let's do 5 together. We're just going to go ahead and rewrite that. So it would be 0.75 times y, as you just mush them together. 0.75 times 5, I think is 3.25. Let's check though. Yeah, so or 7.5. So it's negative 3.75 when you multiply those. So that's all they want you to do for that little spot there. And then I did want you to practice the absolute value ones, 9 through 12. So let's go ahead and do 12 together, and then you'll have the rest of class to work on these, okay? So let's do 12. We're going to take, and we are going to need to plug in the values first because we need a number inside the absolute value before we make it positive, okay? So x is negative 3, y is 4, z is negative 4.5. So what you want to do, when you first plug it in, treat the absolute values like they are just good old parentheses. Because remember, order of operations say to do the parentheses first. Well, absolute values like that. You want to get a number. Well, the negative 3 plus 4 is 1. Negative 3 plus negative 4.5 is negative 7.5. We only continue by using the absolute value, which makes everything positive, by making the answer of that positive. So this becomes a positive 1. And if you want to put a little plus 1 there, you can. This makes this a positive 7.5, okay? So an absolute value makes whatever's inside its final answer positive. And so then we get negative 3 minus 7.5 for an answer of negative 10.5, okay? So your job, work on these for the remainder of class. Tomorrow we're going to start our first notes for chapter 2 for 2.1. And then Friday is a weird schedule, so we're not going to really do much on Friday. There you can get caught up with homework or whatever you need. Okay? Any questions about this assignment? Okay, do your thing. And if you need me, if you have questions, come on up or raise your hand. I'll come to you. There you go.